Hi, welcome to my blog. And today I thought I would do a special video blog since it was a lot of information and typing it would have taken a lot of time. So I wanted to share my story with you about our recent adventure in adoption. My wife and I have recently come out and let everybody know that we're adopting. And I shared this briefly on Sunday in both services, but due to time and things like that, I was not able to share everything I wanted to share in its entirety. So here it is. It's a little bit of the story again on our adoption journey, which we're so excited about and really excited to share with our church body. And it seems relevant in light of Orphan Sunday this past Sunday to share. So just to follow up on Orphan Sunday, here it is. So Angie and I struggled with some infertility early on in our marriage, and really had a hard time having kids. And we started talking about adoption then. Thankfully, and just by the Lord's blessing, we were able to have a child. We had our first child, son, Austin, and he's 6 now. And we really thought that would be about it. And then God blessed us with another child 16 months later, Audrey, and then another child 16 months later, Ainsley. So we have a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 6-year-old right now, and they are just fantastic. And we really thought we would be able to have more, but we can't. So we're back to where we were as far as our ability to have children, and we still have a heart for more. And so God allowed for that stirring to stay in our hearts, and so we immediately started talking about adoption again once the diaper changing stopped and all of that settled down. So while we lived in the North Dallas area, we began considering domestic adoption, and we really did a lot of research. I talked to people who are in the adoption field. We went to conferences and things like that, just to learn everything we could. And that'd be one of the first things I tell somebody who's considering adoption is do everything you can, learn everything you can about adoption, and just gather information. And so I didn't know the difference between domestic, international. I didn't know cost. I didn't know anything. And so we read books, talked to people, listened to things, did everything we could to learn about adoption. And this education helps alleviate so much fear, misunderstanding, all this other stuff. So don't just go by your fears. Actually go out there and research it. Talk to people who've done it. Get to know some people in the field. Go to a conference, and you learn so much more. Well, we were really close to pulling the trigger on domestic adoption in Anna. We lived in Anna, and I got called to become the pastor of Jersey Village Baptist Church. And that was a great season in our life. Very trying time as far as this transition, and transitions are always hard. So we put adoption on the back burner. Emotionally, we couldn't even begin to think about it. We were just trying to, figure out Houston, figure out the new church, figure out my new role, and figure out how our family looks like in this part of Houston. So, and then about 6 months ago or so, maybe 8 months ago, we started talking about adoption again, but we couldn't get any traction. For some reason, Angie and I, Angie was kind of going full speed ahead, and she was kind of bumping me. I wasn't really getting there. For some reason, I just wasn't as fired up about adoption. However, I still wanted to adopt. I couldn't figure this thing out. And so we just kept on kind of talking about these things. And finally, one day I had a lady in my office. She was sharing with me some pictures of an orphanage that she had taken care of for many, many years of her life. And she's asking for the church to help. And we were happy to hear about her story and happy to help if we could. But what happened more importantly that day is I asked her to bring some pictures of the orphanage in India that she had supported. And I saw these children. And seeing these children in their living conditions, just the pictures and their faces and the cement floors they slept on, and all these conditions, and my heart just broke. And she left, and I don't think she really had a clue what I went through that day, but I called Angie almost immediately and said, I know what you need to do. I want to internationally adopt. I want to save a kid from that. I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with domestic adoption or anything like that. It just, in my heart, I felt like God had called us to internationally adopt. And so she wasn't there yet. She was still on a domestic adoption. This is just kind of a little bit of our marriage, but so she had to pray about it, and that's kind of how our marriage works. Just so you know, whenever we have a situation where we both want to do a good, godly thing, and one of us disagrees, we just wait, and there's no point in fighting. There's no point in arguing. We both want the same thing, but God will change somebody's heart or move us in one direction. So we waited and we prayed, and it wasn't a week later, it seemed like, when God began to change Angie's heart and open her eyes and her heart to international adoption. And now she's in it full force, and it's beautiful. So we're both running at the same speed for the same task and the same goal. So anyway, we had another problem. Now we had to figure out an agency. So you need an adoption agency to help you through this process of adopting. And so we chose we looked at many agencies in the Houston area, and there's a lot of good ones. And we had pretty much picked one in the Dallas area, but we were not in Dallas anymore. So really our problem is not where we were going to adopt. We knew we were just going to adopt internationally. It was how we would adopt, and would we have an agency that represented us? And did they share our heart? Did they share our biblical values? Did they share our family values? And all these things were coming into play. And so it just turned out that we discovered this agency in Waco, and it Generations Adoption, and they just really seemed to grasp our heart for a biblical lifestyle, a biblical way of doing marriage, a biblical way of adoption, all that stuff. And so we just identified with them the most. And so we chose an agency before we chose a nation. Now, some people may want to go the other way. That's fine. But our agency doesn't do Chinese adoptions. They didn't do a lot of different adoptions internationally, but they did do Uganda. So we said, well, we know we're called to adopt internationally. We don't know where. And we know that we have biblical values. And so we want somebody who represents us biblically. And so you're that person, your Generations Adoption, you're going to do it for us. So if you say Uganda, we'll do Uganda. So that's pretty much how we got to Uganda. We've discovered a lot more about the country of Uganda and Africa, and so it has revealed a lot to us, and it's even more heartbreaking as you learn things as you go. So anyway, and so after that, you begin to do all the stuff. So we've gone through a home study, and we're approved for 2 children. From Uganda. We've said that we'd adopt siblings. We don't want to separate a sibling group. The orphanages, unfortunately, in Uganda, and the reason I say unfortunately is because we don't know what's happening, but most of them are boys, and so you don't really have any girls to choose from. And I say unfortunately because they don't really know what's happening to the girls, and that's sad and scary. So it's most likely we'll get a boy, that's kind of what we wanted, so that's fun. And we're looking at again, adopting a sibling if he has a little brother or something. In Uganda, you can't adopt a child if there's any living relative. So we'll adopt if the child has to be 6 months old. They have 6 months to figure out from the time he gets in the orphanage to the time he's 6 months old. They have 6 months to find any living relatives. If he has no living relatives, then he's able to go for adoption. So there's nobody alive for him, and he has no parents, no chance of any kind of parent. And so then he's able to come for adoption. So the absolute youngest child we could get would be 6 months old. We're actually hoping for a little bit older. And the absolute oldest he would be out of this adoption or orphanage that we're looking at would be 3 years old. So we're looking at a child between 6 months old and 3 years old, which really fits into us, because another thing we were considering, and again, this isn't for everybody, but for us and our lifestyle and our family, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to have a birth order that fit. So we didn't want to disrupt the birth order. It just didn't seem right for us. Again, some people do, no problem. This is different. But for us, we didn't think we could handle disrupting the birth order, especially our birth order being so tight. So 4, 5, and 6, they're very close. So we're going to go and adopt a child, and maybe he's 3, maybe he's 2, maybe he's 6 months old, maybe he's 1. That'll fit just wonderfully into our birth order plans, and we're grateful for that. So that's where we are. We do have to go to Uganda for about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And of course, if you go to my church, that's been checked out with personnel. In fact, I checked that out with personnel committee before we even had a home study with the adoption agency, just to make sure that this would be okay. And so I'm saving up vacation time, and we will go as a family. All 5 of us will travel, and so that's it. So just if you want to stay up to date with our adoption, my wife has a website that she's kind of updating, and I'll put that down here at the bottom here, and hopefully you'll see that in a second, or it'll be on the sidebar of my blog here. And so you're more than welcome to stay up to date with our adoption, and we greatly appreciate your prayers and support. This church, Jersey Village Baptist Church, has been nothing but supportive and so wonderful, and we're so grateful we can share this journey with you. And I hope whenever my church, whenever you get to meet him, you'll feel like you've had a part in bringing him into this world and bringing him into this place and bringing him into our home in our church. So thank you again for letting me be your pastor. Thank you for this time, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching.